So what we talking about?
Talking about that Wild Wild West, man.
Wow.
He said,
That's what I was saying. I thought you was gonna say the same thing, but you just repeated Wow.
Western Conference is an Armageddon.
That's just crazy.
You have to. It's the survival of the fittest.
Yo, we should just.
Yeah, go ahead.
The NBA championship should just be whoever wins the West at the end of 82 games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
that's the chip. They're gonna be dead by the end of the season.
Word, how do you even have the will to compete in the tournament after the year you're gonna have in the West?
You know who we gotta blame? We might have to blame the Kings.
I like that you blaming someone, and I like that it's someone as non-significant as the Kings. Like somehow it's the Kings we blaming here. Like I don't know.
That trade that they did at the deadline to Boogie Cousins and AD, put them together. You know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, they got nothing for it, and they that's a trend I'm seeing.
So many teams is trading for nothing.
That's what I'm seeing. So
the whole Paul George shit, same thing.
We have to blame the Kings.
I mean, I think you could blame all of them. Like, you can technically blame Indiana, too.
This Western Conference is ridiculous. Like I started earlier saying, in the offseason saying that it's a conspiracy. You know what I mean? They don't want that man on the East to have a tough time going to the playoffs because they taking all the stars from the East. Jimmy Butler. You know, they took, who else they took?
Paul George.
No, they took...
I mean, that's it. That was all there was in the East.
The West stacked up. Spurs added Rudy Gay. The Rockets added CP3, Chris Paul.
Yeah, the only person that went East was Hayward.
Even the Lakers added Brook Lopez. And you know the center position is dying slowly.
But the West...
And just like you said, Minnesota got Jimmy Butler, Karl Anthony Towns.
They got Jeff Teague, too.
Jeff Teague's there as well.
Still got an emerging Wiggins.
And then you have New Orleans, which they have Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins.
And then you look at the lower scale teams like Denver. They got Middlesex.
First of all, I'm not even gonna let you violate and call us lower scale.
If Denver was in the East, they might finish like top 3.
No, before you even said that, I was gonna be like, y'all just not gonna mention Denver. And then not only you mentioned it, but you had to preface it with lower scale. Nah, we got pieces too. You know, we was actually the most efficient. We had the highest offensive rating by mid-December when Jokic started. We had for the rest of the season, the highest offensive rating. That's better than the Warriors. So, and if Jokic started, based on, trajectory projections, we would have been a playoff team. So, I'm not worried. I think Denver can make an impact as well. We're another year older. If we were in the East, we'd damn near be top 4, maybe.
top 4, top 3 potentially.
Court. So it's crazy out in the West.
I think to win the Western Conference, you gotta win the lotto. You gotta have that perfect schedule where you facing a lot of Eastern Conference teams to get that good record, and you're not really playing too many back to back against
And you building confidence.
Real competition.
You building confidence by beating up Eastern Conference teams.
I'm looking at the standings now. I'm projecting the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, and the Kings to be the lowest, the worst teams in the West. But if you put those teams on the East, they in the playoffs.
Yeah. What about the Lakers? I would say that they're not. They're gonna be down there too.
Yeah, but I think they'll do better than those 3 teams.
If I had to think of the West, I'm thinking Warriors. I'm thinking Spurs and Rockets. I'm thinking OKC. I'm thinking Denver.
Portland.
Maybe Portland.
Minnesota.
I miss Minnesota. Minnesota would be like my 4 or 5 with OKC. Denver would be like my 6.
Minnesota's interesting. I don't think that. I don't know. Me personally, I don't think that's gonna click. Wiggins, Jimmy Butler.
I was thinking that too.
Jeff Teague.
They don't really got shooters.
They don't really got people who could pass, playmakers. I feel like it's gonna be got playmakers, but they got playmakers from the wing.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be weird floor spacing kind of thing.
They're gonna have their ups and downs. I think they'll be able to get it together throughout the season. I'm interested to see how they're gonna build their chemistry.
I think the hype around them is like top 4 seed type shit, but I don't think that's where they're gonna be.
I think they're gonna play good defense. I think they're gonna, have them highlights, top 10 plays for sure. But as far as just like going up against those top tier teams, it's like I don't know, man. I don't got them really making it past the semifinals in the playoffs.
Look, we just talked about the whole West, and we didn't even really mention the Warriors.
We don't have to, like, because like, yo, all they did was replace.
They got everyone back.
Yeah, well, they got,
and then they added Nick Young and Caspi. And Caspi's a low key move, but like.
Yeah, but they filled those holes. That's what I meant to say. They filled those holes.
Who'd they really lose?
They lost Ian Clark apparently, Ian Clark. And I think they're waiting to see what's going on with Patrick McCall, the rookie.
Okay, nah, they still got him though.
Yeah, they still got him for the meantime, but like I think he
played well.
I think he signed like I don't know. He was I seen him on a list of like unrestricted or something like that, or restricted, some shit like that. Maybe I was bugging out, but with Swaggy P in the mix, like all they did was get more threes
for the fire,
more firepower. Because when Swaggy hot, he hot, and when he not gonna be on the floor on that team. So
I mean, the West, as strong as the West is weird though, because like the way we all see it is like, oh, well, the Warriors are here though. So it's like the West is getting strong just to fight each other, and it's like LeBron just chilling, and then the worst part is because like you mentioned, whoever makes it through the West, how are they even gonna want to compete in a whole new tournament? Like they're gonna be worn out. And then going through the West in the playoffs and getting to the finals, that team is going to be worn down. So if it's the Warriors that make it through, LeBron's best advantage is that the Warriors are going to be worn down while LeBron breezes through the Eastern Conference.
Absolutely.
So that kind of evens it a little bit if there's any chance for the Cavs.
But now Boston being who they are, you think they're going to wear them down? You think it's going to be like a repeat of this season next year?
I think they'll wear them down, but it's not going to be anything close to the way whoever comes through the West is worn down. Like, think about that. In the West, like, you might have every round, it's a series, it might be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whereas it's not a series in the East to the conference finals.
The East, you got to think, like, some of the teams, they still kept their team that they had last year. So how hard, like you said, could it be for LeBron? Like, Toronto's still the same team. Washington's still the same team. And then we even forgot to mention Utah in the West. They're still there. I mean, they lost, of course, Gordon Hayward and George Hill, but they got Rudy Gobert. They got Ricky Rubio. They still got the other kid, Dante Exum, who he played good in the playoffs. So they're still going to compete, too, in the West.
And I just ain't mention them because I ain't want to mention them. but
they gonna compete, but they not gonna compete like that.
Yeah, when I think they lost Hill and Hayward, I'm like, all right, they're gonna drop off. The Clippers are an interesting team that everyone's just expecting to drop off because they lost CP3. But Beverly's not terrible, and maybe they'll just run through Blake Griffin a little more. They still got DeAndre Jordan. They just got Gallo.
Lou Will.
And they got Lou Will. Like, they might be better than people, are thinking. People are, like, expecting, like, them to just fall off the planet. But they made it clear that they didn't want to go into rebuild mode. They're, like, they still want to compete, so.
It's just that we so used to seeing, like, when CP3 injured and, like, you see how that team runs when he's not playing. Yeah. So it's like now him not being there permanently, that's gonna, that's question marks all over the board.
And then how you gonna even count on Blake or Gallo to stay healthy? Like they always injured.
Yeah, and now you in turn just running your offense through DeAndre, who has no footwork, no skill set. Like he just dunks.
It's gonna be a bad season, I think, for the Clippers.
I mean, they can still make. I mean, I think the 7th and 8th seed in the West is kind of like, is Portland or I don't know, maybe the Pelicans. I guess Portland and the Pelicans for 7 8.
Yeah, unfortunately Portland, because Portland's a great team. They just missing that Paul George, Gordon Hayward.
They don't have enough to get it over the top, and all their money is like tied up.
Yeah, but they got that backcourt is.
Oh, one of the most fun backcourts to watch.
Top 3, top 2, potentially number 1. Not gonna say it is number 1.
Nah, because now look, since we on backcourts, like think about that. Think about like Lillard and McCollum, right? But now think about CP3 Harden. Now think about Russell Westbrook, Paul George if they play him at the 2.
They should.
These are like, and they're in the West.
This is crazy.
It's gonna be fun to watch the Western Conference. I'm not even gonna call it the NBA no more. It's gonna be fun to watch that Western Conference this year.
You know what I wonder though? You think the West is gonna have those like whack records like the East? Like you ever see? You know how the Eastern Conference, you an 8th seed, but you like 40 and 60.
I think like after the.
You think that's gonna happen?
I think like after the 5 and 6, because they're so like top heavy. Like they have some good talent everywhere else, but like after like those top like 5, 6. Like everyone else, I could see them going like in like 41, 41.
I think so. Yeah, there'll be teams. I don't know if there'll be. I think it's literally gonna be like you have to have a 50-win season to get into the playoffs for the West.
And we've seen that in the West before.
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna see that more now.
The thing about the East, when they have bad records and still make the playoffs, is they have bad records because they're getting beat up by all the teams in the West. You know what I mean? In the West, it's less likely because, yes, the top teams in the West could beat up on the lower teams in the West, but the West, even the lower teams in the West could beat up on the East a little bit. So they're going to stack wins that way. So, yeah, it's possible that you need, I don't think a 50-win season, but like 45.
That's close enough.
Which is still a 2 seed in the East.